A finale, a big moment has finally come, something that we've been building up for many and many episodes, and we will have to see exactly what happens. Two big moments, actually, I guess, with the battle that we're essentially facing here, and also the likelihood that Madoka essentially turns to becoming a magical girl and potentially making a wish on something that's been built up since the beginning, and when's that going to happen, and what's it going to be, and so many other questions. So I am really curious to see where they go. I have a lot of questions and things that I think potentially do get themselves answered throughout this episode, and maybe not, all stemming, or a lot stemming, from the previous episode. So I guess we'll end up seeing exactly what happens, and potentially if there's any sort of build up at any point in this episode as to what the movie itself will be, or if that in itself is going to be a separate being, and we'll have to just tackle that when that time actually comes. So hopefully you enjoy, hopefully I enjoy. If you like it all, like and subscribe, not my feel free to stick around for the discussion. Leave any comments about this episode or series. We'll go with the finale of episode 12 of Madoka Magica. 魔法少女になる。まどか、そんな。私、やっとわかったの。叶えたい願い事を見つけたの。だからそのためにこの命を使うね。やめて。それじゃ私は。ホムラちゃんに守られて望まれてきたから今の私があるんだと思う。I truly believe that too. And your ability to really display that on a certain level helped. どんな途方もない望みだろうと叶えられるだろう。本当だね。さあ、要まどか、その魂を対価にして、君は何を願う? So he said most likely. Deep breaths. すべての魔女を生まれる前に消し去りたい。Thank you. すべての宇宙、過去と未来のすべての魔女をこの手で。Past and future, so the beings that even begin of you. So when does that happen, though? そんな祈りが叶うとすれば、それは時間干渉なんてレベルじゃない。因果率そのものに対する反逆だ。君は本当に神になるつもりかい？神様でも何でもいい。今日まで魔女と戦ってきたみんなを、希望を信じた魔法少女、私は泣かせたくない。最後まで笑顔でいてほしい。それを邪魔するルールなんて壊してみせる。I am God itself, so it doesn't matter. I am the rule itself. Incubator. Just cuts back and she didn't transform. I guess it didn't get realized. それがどんなに恐ろしい願いか分かっているの？多分。未来とすべての時間であなたは永遠に戦い続けることになるのよ。そうなればきっとあなたはあなたという個体を保てなくなる。戦う理由見つけたんだろ。逃げないって自分で決めたんだろ。なら仕方ない。Just do your thing. You good. I guess we gotta take the designs back out. Aura has arrived. I thought it was just wiping everything. I thought she didn't even do anything. It just worked. Oh my. At least die as yourself, right? Travel throughout the world. It's fun to see all the different designs and everything too.
もういいんだよ。もう誰も恨まなくていいの。誰も呪わなくていいんだよ。そんな姿になる前にあなたは私が受け止めてあげるから。
Oh my god.
マドカがもたらした新しい法則に基づいて宇宙が再編されているんだ。
They're in that process of creating the new title.
君もまた時間を超える魔法の使い手だったね。じゃあ一緒に見届けようか。要マドカという存在の結末を。あれが彼女の祈りがもたらしたソウルジェムだ。
Jesus Christ. Yeah, someone try and take that thing.
終わらせるほどの絶望をもたらすことを意味する。当然だよね。大丈夫。私の願いは全ての魔女を消し去ること。本当にそれが叶ったんだとしたら、私だってもう絶望する必要なんてない。
Brother, what the fuck? Just create the universe yourself. Yeah, they just kind of that. Does it have a
こ
form?
の世界に生きた証もその記憶ももうどこにも残されていない。君という存在は一つ上の領域にシフトしてただの概念になり果ててしまった。
Okay.
もう誰も君を認識できないし、君もまた誰にも干渉できない。君はこの宇宙の一員ではなくなった。過去と未来の全てが見えるの。かつてあったかもしれない宇宙も、いつかありえるかもしれない宇宙も、みんなホムラちゃんが私のために頑張ってくれたこと、何もかも。何度も泣いて傷だらけになりながら、それでも私のために。ずっと気づけなくてごめん。
You couldn't have.
ホムラちゃん、ありがとう。あなたは私の最高の友達だったんだね。
Without even knowing it, you were.
一人じゃないよ。みんないつまでも私と一緒だよ。これからの
You just won't be with them.
いつでもどこにでもいるの。だから見えなくても聞こえなくても、私はホムラちゃんのそばにいるよ。マドカはそれでもいいの？私は
What she wished for.
マドカのこともう二度と感じ取ることさえできなくなっちゃうのに。諦めるのはまだ早いよ。ホムラちゃんはこんな場所までついてきてくれたんだもの。だから元の世界に戻っても、もしかしたら私のこと忘れずにいてくれるかも。大丈夫、きっと大丈夫。信じようよ、マドカ。だって魔法少女はさ、夢と希望を叶えるんだから。きっとほんの少しなら本当の奇跡があるかもしれない。それまではほんのちょっとだけお別れだね。
Just till then.
さやかちゃんを救うには何もかもなかったことにするしかなくて、そしたらこの未来も消えてなくなっちゃうの。でもそれは多分さやかちゃんが望む形じゃないんだろうなって。
Wouldn't be able to get this.
そのために頑張ってきたこともとって。
So while taking into account everything else that people wanted to.
これでいいよ。そうだよ。私はただもう一度 あいつの演奏が聞きたかっただけなんだ。もう何の後悔もない。まあそりゃちょっぴり悔しいけどさ、瞳じゃ仕方ないや。京介にはもったいないくらいいい子だし、幸せになってくれるよね。
You know, like there's someone who's supposed to be out here.
さやかは？おい、さやかはどうした？言ってしまったわ。まどか。
Oh.
あけみさん、まどかって誰だよ。
Little signs here and there.
そうだね。そっくりだよ。まどかだね。
You get it? You get it?
あの子が一人遊びする時の見えないお友達ってやつ？子供の頃にはよくあることなんだけどね。
ええ、私にも覚えがあります。
マドカってさ、あなたも知ってるの？アニメか何かのキャラとか？
Yeah, something like that. For some people, for some people.
すっごく懐かしい響きだなって思うことがあるんだよね。マドカ、リボンすごく可愛いね。私の好みにド直球だわ。ちょっとびっくりしたくらい。
Nobody else really seems to like them.
差し上げましょうか。
こんなおばさんには似合わないって。まあ娘とかいたらつけさせたかもしれないね。
宇宙のルールが書き換えられてしまったのだとすれば、今の僕らにそれを確かめる手段なんてないわけだし、君だけがその記憶を持ち越しているのだとしても、それは君の頭の中にしかない夢物語と区別がつかない。
You're delusional.
まあ確かに
So he
浄化しきれ
consumes
なくな
all
った
of
ソウ
it.
ルジェムがなぜ消滅してしまうのか、その原理は僕たちにも解明できてない。今僕らが戦っているような魔獣なんて存在しなかったんだろう。呪いを集める方法としてはよほど手っ取り早いじゃないか。そう簡単じゃなかったわ。あなたたちとの関係だってかなり険悪だったし。やっぱり
Wish you're still
理解できないな、人間の価値観は。魔女が生まれなくなった世界でも、それで人の世の呪いが消え失せるわけではない。世界の歪みや形を変えて今も闇の底から人々を狙っている。悲しみと憎しみばかりを繰り返す救いようのない世界だけれど、だとしてもここはかつてあの子が守ろうとした場所なんだ。それを覚えている。決して忘れたりしない。だから私は戦い続ける。
Finding a new reason. Oh my. The fuck? Well, that's certainly an ending to happen. I didn't think we were gonna go that far. I thought that like we certainly weren't gonna just turn her into what we did. I thought that they would find a complete different route, maybe to potentially make this wish occur that then alters things to allow everything to kind of reset itself to a certain way, which it did, but like I guess not in the way that it happened, where she becomes essentially like a god, or this god concept at least, which I think was like well well above and beyond realistically what I was expecting. So I do certainly apologize. I think if I wasn't really saying much throughout the episode, I felt like there was just a lot that was going on, and I was not there wasn't much for me to grab at to like say, and I had to kind of digest it, and especially because a lot of what is presented to us throughout it gets the dialogue needed to like really help connect a lot of the dots like right at the end. So everything leading up to it just left me like in a state of confusion. So instead of just questioning and saying like dumb things throughout the entirety of it, I tried to restrict myself there. But really, really weird, really interesting. I think a lot of my feelings towards directly how this is presented in ending will likely be altered or adjusted potentially based on the movie, because seemingly the end sequence and the stuff kind of displayed to us with a new enemy variant that we're going to kind of have to go against here being brought into the fold will be relevant throughout the entirety of the movie, which will probably dictate and explain some things that maybe I'm left wondering and stuff throughout this. So I think that that might provide some clarity on certain things, but we'll have to wait till we get to that point and we end up seeing it. I think I'll need more time really, I think, to digest it, and of course your comments and everything will be helpful, but I don't have like a certain, I think, feeling on the ending itself. I don't have any hatred towards it, but I think left in a state where I'm just not sure how much I like it as well, which is I think an interesting thing, because I don't think it does anything wrong. I just don't know if it's like me struggling to observe it through a lens of like, I think I would have preferred maybe a slightly different route as opposed to exactly what we got. So trying to come to terms with what is exactly here was a lot for me to take in, because I think I had an expectation that wasn't met at that point, because it altered it entirely, that then led me to be in a state of like shock almost for the entirety, and still up to this point of where we are. So need more time, I think, surely to kind of reflect on that. But I think as a way to display the selflessness that has been presented for 11 episodes up to this point of Madoka, and the grand extent that her wish itself would likely become, I think this is a really strong way to probably do it, and a lot stronger than probably I would have thought. The sacrifice of oneself and erased of that person in the rewritten universe itself to allow all of this to actually happen and occur is selfless as I think it can kind of get, and I think really does a great job to kind of highlight that. So I think on that front, it nails it completely, which is awesome. I think the only real question I think I really have, we'll talk through it as I look through the episode, but I do think I'm left with one question that I don't think really gets answered. And if it does, please let me know. And maybe I'm just dumb for not getting it, but it's like, it's the idea of why are the magical girls existing still, I think, is where I'm confused. I get that we don't have the witches and it's altered into something else, and the source of what Cube and everything is kind of like gathering has altered as well. Well, not really, but is being provided through other things as well, and in places to keep the magical girls themselves cleansed, to not have to worry about losing their lives here unless, you know, their gem gets broken or they get overall consumed at some other point. But Madoka's there to kind of guide the way to allow them to peacefully see themselves off as themselves still at some point. I think it's more just like, so is the purpose of them, is this exactly what was presented in the previous episode that I had some pushback towards, of my own struggle to wrap my head around, like rewriting a universe entirely in you know, billions of years of history to implement your own system and do it and expose that to us directly, you know, 90% of the way, 93% of the way through a series. And it was my difficulty to get behind that then becomes fully relevant here, to display that even if she goes back as far as time to kind of prevent that from occurring, and magical or witches and stuff from the creation of even being there, you're still needing the existence of something and the coming to take like the energy and everything that Kyubey and his people are here for still has to be a thing, because that in itself wasn't wished away. So we now just altered the world in a way that works alongside like the new laws that were written, but still kind of follows everything else that was led up to that point, if that makes sense. But then my real question, I think, also comes in that if we were to do something along those lines, the everything that we know as people gets rewritten in a way that the future that we then see, where we're still fighting these things and Homer is even a being to begin with, wouldn't exist, because the outcomes and the things that have occurred in history leading up to that point that have altered it, that had to have started from the beginning at some point, is different. So that shouldn't exist in itself. So are we still not in a place where a single universe itself exists, but we have a variety of timelines that are still out there, and in each of them Madoka just went to like that present point of wherever that exact time it was within that timeline and just altered things to fix exactly what's happening presently, as opposed to going all the way back and resetting from the beginning? Because unless I'm massively missing something here, I don't believe that you can rewrite it the way that she did and have the present come to be almost identical to the present that we were already familiar with. Like everything in history would alter and change from everything that like I'm aware of, that I've read before, that I understand of how these things work. It should be different, unless we're playing with like strong like timeline like nodes that we cannot like pass and must occur throughout each of them regardless, that lead us to a present that still has the beings and the people and stuff that are kind of here. Yeah, let me know. Maybe I could be well off on some stuff too, and I would like that, which is making me having some pushback of, I was planning to watch the movie tomorrow. I'm now potentially thinking I'm gonna wait till this is up for you guys so I can get some clarity on some stuff before we dive into what likely precedes this, or not precedes, but succeeds. That's the word I'm looking for. I sat here for like 2 minutes confused. But yeah, definitely let me know exactly what you got there. So yeah, we got to make a wish. Promise won't leave any of that in vain. I got the plan. So this reminded me, refreshed me, answered my question I had in the previous episode, where I was like, what is going on with the idea of like the wishes being granted and stuff? Like, can't you just do something like whatever you want? But seemingly it has to be something that like works within like a certain restraint or an ability that you're able to like actually kind of like work up to. Like, I don't really get all the specifics still, but even by Kyubey saying here, like, your wish still has to be like actually like realized through like something, and it can't just kind of perfectly go through, but she has all the potential and everything that could directly lead to it. She gets like a weird intermission moment as this is happening, where she gets to like talk through her stuff and verify it's a perfect thing to do with the people that are long gone in a conversation that did not occur. And then she goes on just the most badass spree for like 10 minutes, where she's able to help these people purify themselves, break their souls, and let them essentially just die as themselves, as opposed to having to suffer and continue onwards and worry about anything, which is great. And we go back over time in variety of different places, and we get to see the different makeups that make up what a magical girl actually looks like, and who they actually are, and the different cultures and everything that come from it. And it's pretty sick, and I really think that's awesome. She takes on all the burden for all of this, because she's never going to get lose hope or sight of anything, because her wish and self has been actually realized and will continue to, and she's in a position that she's capable of that. So she's in a great spot for her. This being her form is her gem is insane, like insane that it looks like this and that it is. This is definitely not getting taken over, I'd assume, but absolutely absurd, crazy. And I love how Homura, being like the time manipulator and everything herself, gets to put herself in this void state essentially, while she's going fucking insane and destroying everything. The animation on all of this was really spectacular. The coloring is awesome as well. And I love the idea that she willingly knows that she would become a witch at some point, or even with making all this wish and everything, and to fulfill all of this has to eventually become something that doesn't have its own form or anything. It has to become like an idea or concept to allow for any of this to realistically occur, which unfortunately has to involve sacrificing and losing herself. Well, why'd you do all of this? Well, don't worry, you know, you don't get to see me. I'm not around anymore for you, but just know you did protect me at the end of the day. Not the physical form that's going to be with you on a day-to-day, but the actual version that will continue to live on in some sort of way is definitely still there, and it provides a lot more hope for the future and the people kind of around her, and not have to suffer and worry about others go through that. So we see like a success. You unfortunately have to make like a version of a sacrifice to kind of get exactly what you want, but it ends up working. Here you go, take this on the lasting memory of her. And we get to see the performance here. So Miss Sayaka fully realizing what she does, no longer having regrets for it, being okay with the wish that she made, and now having to be put in a spot where he no longer can, you know, will be aware of any sort of way of the thing that she did, is able to kind of rest at ease, where she ends up losing her form here. And we see our other girls going ahead and figuring that out. Madoka, huh? What did you just say? I wonder if all this too, like the brother and stuff doing this, and even like the familiarity they have with the name, is like things that she can plant in them to kind of leave something. I wonder. I love how he reaches out that nice little cute conversation with the mom about the overall hair and where exactly the name comes from and everything, or not the hair, but the ribbon and everything, and where it comes from, and how, you know, Madoka came to actually be wearing them or taking, you know, a liking to it, and her relation to that I think is really sweet. And then just the big difference in dynamic between Kyubey and everything here, about how, you know, he's not necessarily an evil anymore while he's still utilizing them. He just doesn't have to use them to the same exact extent. And that's just not what they need them for anymore. They just kind of need them to fight their battles and stuff. So it's a little bit better for him, which is cool. And we use these cubes, I'm assuming, is the sources and everything of power and stuff that they essentially need to, or energy that they need to gain. So it all works out in a more conveniently, like, non-threatening way for for the girls, which is really good. And he can kind of be on better terms, where you no longer have to like have a real negative sort of feeling in any sort of way about him. Well, I still do, because I know exactly what he would have intended to do. I think it makes sense though. He utilized what would probably be the most efficient way for him to do that. Wraiths. Okay, so they do have a name. I just kept saying the other thing that we're fighting. So the Wraiths are beings and stuff that likely decided, okay, it's okay, we're going to pop back up here, and we're going to have to fight. So we have to continue our battle with the Wraiths, who likely take on and possess all hatred and all this stuff that kind of exists within the world that Kyubey is still kind of after it to some sort of extent. And I don't know, like, threat that any of them kind of pose, what they are, if they are literally just the exact same sort of thing that witches are, and it's just something else to prove a point that, you know, even you get rid of one thing, there's something else that'll likely find its way through natural selection in some sort of way and pop up. But if that were to be the case, I'd be cautious that these probably just aren't as strong in general, because then they would have been able to pop up at some other point and overcome that. But maybe, I guess that's not necessarily true, because not having a obstacle maybe in the way allows for that growth and progression to actually occur that probably got cut a little bit short at some point. But I don't really know. Hearing the encouraging words from Madoka, of course, give her the will to continue on and fight, and get in the cute little image of all of them. So overall, yeah, interesting. There's a lot still, I think, for me to try and digest a bit here, because it's a lot more than I was anticipating. So I think I gotta sit on that, but we'll see. I might watch the movie tomorrow. I might wait for you guys and decide exactly what the plan is gonna be, because it might be a little bit smarter for me to fully understand and realize some stuff before then. But maybe I have pieced it. Maybe I'll feel like I understand things a bit better when I rewatch it, or maybe I'll go and try and find something to read beforehand, so I could still get that recording in, because I would like to do that, and I would like to move on, because we do have other series and stuff to still watch, and I kind of don't want to have to keep waiting. I've made you guys wait long enough, so I gotta get some of the stuff done. But yeah, that's gonna be the 12 episode series. Usually I talk about the series itself and as a whole, and I know it's a little bit different, because this is like TV series and then there's a movie, and I probably should do that here. But I think we might talk a little bit more in depth about certain things come the end of the movie in a discussion. And maybe we just won't, because the series itself fully is not kind of over. And I do feel like I laid out a decent amount of my thoughts up to this point, and like feelings on a bunch of things. So I don't really know yet. We'll think. I don't really feel like doing that right now, because I still feel like I have to digest some stuff, and I just wouldn't feel okay making that decision to do so now. So we'll see where we're at, and if we decide to, maybe not. But yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy. Thank you for joining all 12 episodes up to this point. We have one finale to go. The movie looks to be just under 2 hours. I thought it was a little longer, actually. I don't know why I thought it was like 2.5 or 3. So I'm very pleased by it. 3 hours would have been insane. But I'm pleased by that. I don't think that's too crazy. I can definitely do that. It still is long, but we can hopefully make that work. I'm a little cautious for now throwing what they just did at me here, what they potentially might do in the movie that will break my mind even more, because I'll have less time to kind of digest everything, because it's all just happening in sequence. So it might be a little rough for us. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll do what we can, and I hope you guys joined for that journey. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you liked it all, like and subscribe to me. Feel free to check out the Evervision channel. Leave any comments with this other series. I'll be back for our movie and the finale within this series. There is another movie coming out like next year, but Lord knows when that comes for like streaming and stuff. So, so the finale temporarily for at least a year, you know. But once again, thank you everybody for watching. You guys have a great one. Peace.